the first Public Health and Safety meeting Tuesday, October 4th, or excuse me, October 3rd, 2023, for 11 p.m. Want to call roll here because I haven't had a chance to meet everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to the term. Welcome to the new folks that are here. Glad to see you all. Councilmember Benton, present. Councilmember Bradford. Councilmember Gregg. Councilmember Harrell. Councilmember Huffman. Councilmember Kimbrough. Councilmember Nash. Councilmember Porterfield. Councilmember Prepty. Councilmember Sepulveda. Councilmember Weiner. Outstanding. So Councilmember Porterfield is here. So we have a few items that we're going to add to consent agenda, and I'll let you know which ones. So item number 1, RS 2023-1. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Pursuant to the state law, we have to do the public comment. Is there anyone, we don't have anyone here that has signed up for public comment, so we'll move forward to the calendar. All right, again, so we're going to have some items that are going to be on consent. So item number 1, RS 2023-1. Item number 2, RS 2023-6 by Porterfield, Evans, and Suara. Item number 3, RS 2023-8 by Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and others. RS 2023-9 by Porterfield, Evans. RS 2023-10 by Toombs, Porterfield, Evans, and others. RS 2023-11, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Suara. RS 2023-12, Porterfield, Evans, and Suara. Item number 10, RS 2023-17 by Porterfield and Evans. Item number 11, RS 2023-18 by Porterfield and Evans. Item number 12, RS 2023-19 by Porterfield and Evans. Item number 13, RS 2023-20 by Porterfield and Evans. Number 14, RS 2023-21 by Porterfield, Evans, and Allen. RS 2023-22, Porterfield and Evans. RS 2023-25, Porterfield and Evans. RS 2023-26, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Allen. RS 2023-27, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh. And item number 19, RS 2023-28, Porterfield, Evans, Coopin, and others. And item number 20, RS 2023-29 by Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Any items from committee members? No? All right. So we'll read the captions of each item, and then we'll vote for each one. All right, 2023-1 by Porterfield and Evans appropriates $45,500 from a certain account of Community Safety Fund for a grant to pass the Beauty for South Nashville Community Safety Program. Item number 2, RS 2023-6 by Porterfield, Evans, and Suara accepts the term of a cooperative purchasing master agreement for pursuit vehicles and other special purpose vehicles with emergency uplifting for first responders. Item number 3, RS 2023-8 approves a grant contract by and between the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety and the Sexual Assault Center for the provision of medical, legal exams, therapy, and assists with the Safe Bar program, all for the benefit of residents in Davidson County who are victims or survivors of sexual assault. Item number 4, RS 2023-9, Porterfield and Evans appropriates a total of $200,000 from the Office of Family Safety to various nonprofit organizations selected to receive Community Partnership Fund grants. Item number 5 by Toombs, Porterfield, Evans, and others accepts a community project funding grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Department of General Services to fund the construction of the third floor at 1354 Brick Church Pike for the future Nashville Assessment Center to provide therapeutic pre-charge diversion services to address low-level misdemeanor and youth offenses. Item number 6, RS 2023-11, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Swora accepts a donation from Music Cities Incorporated to the Nashville Fire Department of a 2023 Polaris ATV equipped with a medical bed to transport injured individuals. Item number 7, RS 2023-12, accepts an in-kind grant from Vanderbilt University Medical Center to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Fire Department to provide training materials for paramedics who participate in the pre-hospital airway control trial trauma airway study. Item number 10, RS 2023-17, accept a victim services state grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Department to administer funds to enhance the use of evidence-based strategies to provide support services to victims of crime. Item number 11, RS 2023-18, Porterfield and Evans, accepts a community-based traffic safety enforcement and education grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to continue the enhanced DUI enforcement initiative and target distracted driving and seatbelt enforcement. Item number 12, RS 2023-19, approves Amendment 1 to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department for funding the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit. RS 2023 by Porterfield and Evans approves Amendment 1 to an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for extra duty police services. Item number 14, RS 2023-21, approves an application for a Hotspot Violent Crime Intervention Fund, VCIF, Targeted Community Crime Reduction Project, TCCRP, grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to utilize funding for the information of the PAL program to help build strong community relations and facilitate early intervention in the lives of at-risk youth, to purchase equipment and increase staffing to better prepare officers to respond to violent crime incidents. Item number 15, RS 2023-22, approves an application for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department for specialized training and equipment to ensure personnel maintain needed certifications for criminal investigation and crime reduction initiatives. Item number 16, RS 2023-25, approves a contract between the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through Metropolitan Board of Health and Belmont University to provide clinical experience opportunities for its nursing program students. Item number 17, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Allen appropriates a total of $355,200 from the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health, to Neighborhood Health Incorporated and improving a grant contract by and between the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health and Neighborhood Health Incorporated to provide homeless individuals with medical and dental services at 2 or more clinics in or near downtown Nashville. Item number 18, RS 2023-27, approves a contract between the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health and Family Children Services to provide Affordable Care Act navigators to screen individuals for health insurance eligibility at health department locations. Item number 19, RS 2023-28 by Porterfield, Evans, Coopin, and others, accepts a grant from the Friends of Metro Animal Care and Control to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health to provide funding for emergency medical care for shelter animals. And item number 20, last on's consent, RS 2023-29, Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh approves Amendment 2, a grant from the National Association of County and City Health Officials to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health to partner with agencies and implement activities that address the community's challenges related to drug overdose deaths. Yes. Oh, Brepty. Ms. Prepty, if you could repeat that for us.
Yes, my apologies. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had parliamentary inquiry as to whether or not it would be appropriate or permissible at this time for me to move to remove item number 2, RS 2023-6 from consent.
Yeah. Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Any other items? All right. Seeing none, so we're going to go ahead and take the vote. All of those captions that were read and removing item number 2, RS 2023, number 6. Is that correct, Mr. Prepty?
That is correct.
Thank you. All in favor for the consent agenda, please say aye. Oh. That's fine, yes. Hold on one second, Councilmember. Councilmember Kimbrough, your microphone is on, so.
Yes. It's number 14, the agenda, but it's RS 20. It's number 14 on the agenda, but it's RS 2023-21.
Okay.
Wait, I think I had one other. Item 11, RS 2023-18.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So with the consent agenda, with all the items that were read, removing item number 2, item number 11, and item number 14. Any other items that we would like to see removed from the consent agenda? All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Any opposed? All right. Any non-voting? Perfect. Consent agenda passes. All right. So on to item number 2. RS 2023 by Porterfield, 6, RS 23-6 by Porterfield Evans Swara, accepts the terms of a cooperative purchasing master agreement for pursuit vehicles and other special purpose vehicles with emergency uplifting for first responders. Can I have a motion? So moved and seconded. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Prepty?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the reason why I moved to remove this item from consent, I just wanted to raise for this body a concern that I have in general. I don't necessarily oppose this resolution. I just want to raise for the body that one of the areas in relation to community policing and ensuring that there is trust between our institutions and our communities is ensuring that we are not advocating for or enabling the over-militarization of our police forces. And so though I understand the need to continually upgrade equipment, just wanting to raise that I believe that within these kinds of agreements, we need to make sure or make an effort towards ensuring that we are not acquiring decommissioned military grade equipment, things such as armored troop transports, water cannons, and things like that. In reviewing the amendments and in reviewing the contract under this resolution, there's not necessarily anything that gives rise or gives me any reason to believe that that those are things that are within the contract. However, it's not something that is directly addressed. And I don't believe whether or not there's a memorandum of understanding or any other operative legal documents that that dictate how MNPD is able to acquire such equipment. So I just wanted to raise that for this body and make sure that we are doing our due diligence in addressing those concerns and making sure that we are cultivating an atmosphere where our institutions are able to be trusted fully by our communities and not overly militarized.
Thank you, Mr. Prepty. Councilmember Porterfield. In a new position.
Hey, thank you, Vice Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Prepty, for that comment. Would it be possible for MNPD to give us a response?
Absolutely, I was going to do that. Deputy Chief Gilder, if you could help with a response.
Can you hear me now? All right.
Gotcha.
Chris Gilder, Deputy Chief, Police Department. This is actually a general services contract for emergency equipment for all of our emergency first responders. As far as I understand from reading it, it's not specific to law enforcement. So I don't have a lot of details. I know General Services was here last night, I believe. I'm not sure if they're here tonight. I know we don't acquire any military vehicles that are decommissioned. We don't have any of that sort. And like I said, my understanding is this is a purchasing contract that General Services put forward. It's not ours.
Thank you, Mr. Gilder. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Non-voting? Motion carries. So it's been brought to my attention that item number 8, RS 2023-15, will need to be withdrawn. Councilmember Porterfield. Thank you, it's withdrawn. Item number 9, RS 2023-16, Porterfield and Evans accepts a statewide school resource officer grant from the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to the Metropolitan government acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide funding to place school resource officers in all Nashville public middle schools and high schools. Discussion, can I have a motion? All right, have a motion properly seconded. Discussion, Councilman Porterfield.
Thank you so very much, Vice Chair Taylor. I received a lot of questions about this. Now, I was able to get the questions answered through MNPD, but I wanted to make sure that we went on the record so that our constituents would be able to have these same questions answered since there were so many about them. It is my understanding, Councilmember Taylor, and I would appreciate if Deputy Chief Gilder could just confirm this or not, but it's my understanding that this is a grant to reimburse the city, to reimburse MNPD for a portion of their costs that they're paying for SRO officers in MNPS, that there are currently officers in all of our high school and middle schools. This is a portion of the cost that is being reimbursed. There's currently an MOU with MNPD and MNPS. So if we were to turn down the grant, that would not remove SRO officers from the schools. It would only remove our ability to be compensated or reimbursed for the money that we have expended. But I want to, one, just confirm with Chief Gilder to make sure that that's accurate, and if not, if he could correct any inaccuracies. And also, if Chief Gilder could speak to the agreement that MNPD has with MNPS with regards to SRO officers not being utilized to address behavior in the classroom, and the procedures if an SRO officer is being addressed to, is asked to address behavior in the classroom. And then 3, if we could address, since this money is going to MNPD, could the funding that MNPD already had to pay for SRO officers if that money could be reallocated somewhere else. So again, those are some questions I've gotten from the community. Chief Gilder, I know we talked about this, but I would like for it to just be public so that we could be transparent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Deputy Chief.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you for that. The first question, your recitation of the facts is correct. This is a grant to reimburse for the cost of deploying SROs in our middle and high schools who are already there. It is a partial reimbursement in the sense that it's for up to $75,000 per SRO assigned per school, which is less than what the cost of an FTE is for a police officer. So that's why I say partial. Those facts are correct. With respect to your second question about discipline, the MOU that we have in place between schools and the police department is clear, as is the directive to our personnel, that they are not there, and this has been the case too, that they are not there to engage in disciplinary matters. They're there to be a police officer in the event that there is a crime issue or an emergency that arises. That's what they're there for. They're not there to engage in discipline. We have a school resources division now, school safety division, I'm sorry, that oversees all our SROs. They're all centralized, have a centralized chain of command, and that is absolutely a clear directive in their chain of command. The last part with respect to savings, again, while this is going to reimburse for the partial cost of what it would cost for an officer, it is not full reimbursement. We anticipate that savings probably coming about in the form of a lesser 4% request further along in the year.
Thank you. Councilmember Welsh.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not a member of the committee. It's my understanding, Chief Gilder, that the money for the SROs is already fully funded in the MNPD budget that we passed. So that money is already there. What will happen to the money that is already budgeted that will now be freed up by accepting this grant? What will that go towards?
Those reimbursing those salaries for those individuals. Like I said, I think we anticipate that savings coming in the form of 4% requests that we'll make later on. Again, it funds $75,000, whereas an FTE is about $115,000. And then once you do initial issue, you're looking at around $150,000 once you issue equipment to an individual officer. And then once you add in vehicles, issuing a vehicle to an officer and that equipment in there, you're above $200,000. So when I say it's a partial reimbursement, it really is. It's not a full funding of a one-for-one.
So it's not correct that we already funded these SRO positions in the budget we passed this past summer?
We did fund those positions, yes.
So they are already fully funded. So this is actually double money in that way. It's reimbursing, but that frees up money that we budgeted for MNPD that will now not go to that because this grant will cover it. So what will happen to those funds? What will they be moved to? They would now be discretionary for MNPD.
It will free up $75,000 per personnel again, and we anticipate that coming in the form of a lesser 4% request for equipment later on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Prepty.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Chief Gilder, I just had a question for you in regards to the MOU, because you had mentioned that essentially with the MOU between MNPD and MNPS, that officers are not are not supposed to be engaged in any sort of behavioral enforcement of just basic classroom issues. But you said that they would get involved if there was a criminal matter or a crime-related issue. I guess my question for you is, how is the determination made between where something goes from a simple classroom matter to a criminal matter? And if I could provide you just with a brief example as to what's on my mind. I'm sure you're familiar with the incident out of Chattanooga where there was a student who was in a gym class. There was a classroom dispute, and through that dispute, a SRO was involved. and the SRO determines that that student was then engaged in disorderly conduct, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with that instance. That's my concern, just making sure that we're not that we're not creating an atmosphere to where our officers are asked to be doing an increasingly difficult job, and that we're not exacerbating issues of kids being traumatized in school. And so my question is, where, sort of based off of the MOU and MNPD policies, sort of where is that line?
So, one, I'm not familiar with the incident, but I understand the facts as you recited them. But I think, the type of incidents that you'll see our SROs involved in most frequently that involve criminal activity are either where we have a weapon brought to school, like firearms and things of that nature, where staff discovers drugs or something that is contraband that needs to be turned over to law enforcement, or there are fights. I think are largely where there are calls for officer intervention. I'm not familiar with any particular issues within our schools where an officer has, I guess, overstepped and engaged in a disciplinary matter. We have a very close relationship with MNPS. I'm confident that given those relationships, that if there are issues or they have any problems with a particular SRO, they'll relay those to us. I know Captain Bowers of the School Safety Division has a very close relationship with them. And so, we've had SROs in our high schools and some of our middle schools for many, many years. Again, it's not new. This isn't the first time we're deploying them. This is simply just a grant to reimburse for some of that funding.
And what I'll say, Chief Gilder, is I haven't heard of any issues with MNPD SROs either, so I think that MNPD is doing a good job there. One thing that does give me sort of just pause for concern is having SRO officers intervening in fights in schools at times. Is there any MNPD or MNPS policy that dictates the gravity with which a fight has to be before there's any kind of police intervention?
I'm not aware of one, but I don't work for MNPS, so I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's fair enough. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Clapp. 1 second, council member. Thank you. Mr. Cap.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not a member of the committee. I just have a couple informational questions, mostly for the record. So are there SROs in every high school and middle school already?
As of today, yes, sir, there are. This school year.
Yes, thank you. And the MOU is between MNPD and MNPS, right?
Yes, sir.
And the school board approved it.
I'm assuming Dr. Battle signed. As far as their approval process on their side of the house, I'm not sure what that is.
Okay, thank you. And is it renewable at any kind of term, or is its terms indefinite?
I would have to review my recollection of the MOU, but almost every MOU I've ever seen, there are provisions that allow for either party to withdraw from the MOU.
Okay.
Again, I provided the copy to council office this morning. She could probably advise.
Great, thank you. And then just one quick thing finally, is MNPD keep any data about times that SROs are involved with, maybe borderline cases like Councilmember Prepty mentioned, or when they get involved with anything related to discipline or crime in the school?
We track officer activity, generally speaking, pretty well. I'm quite certain that if I reach out to Captain Bowers, he can provide me some information with respect to activity of the SROs in the schools as well.
But ongoingly, I mean, if this body requested some kind of report or data about whether there were incidents or involvement that way, we could obtain it from the MNPD.
I'm quite certain that would be the case, yes.
Thank you.
Standing. Mr. Prepty.
Thank you, Vice Chair. One last thing that I want to raise for this body, relatively germane to the matter that we're discussing. I want to raise some statistical information that in 2018, the Center for Civil Rights and Remedies published findings that in Tennessee, Black students lost 105 days of education to out-of-school suspension per 100 students, as opposed to only 15 days for their white counterparts. So in other words, in Tennessee, Black students received 90 days more of OSS than their white counterparts for the same or similar offenses. And according to this report, Tennessee is one of the 5 worst states for disparate disciplinary actions. This problem can be exacerbated by the presence of officers in school. Though we don't necessarily have any direct statistical information that points to an issue here with MNPS and MNPD. I think MNPS and MNPD are doing good work. I think it's important for us to understand the full context of officers in schools and working to address like my fellow council member has stated, working to address the MOU between MNPD and MNPS to make sure that there are clear, structured guidelines as to when there is going to be officer intervention to ensure that our schools are safe and tranquil environments for all of our students. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Prep Team. Any additional discussion? Commander Gilder or Deputy Chief Gilder? All right. Any additional discussion on this topic? Outstanding. So we're going to take the vote. So just to let everyone know where we are on RS item number 9, RS 2023-16, by Porterfield and Evans accepts a statewide school resource officer grant from the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide funding to place SRO officers in the Nashville public middle and high schools. All right. All in favor? Let's do some hands on this one. All right. All in favor? Let's see. Keep your hands, please. 1, 2. 8. Any opposed? 2. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries with 8 in favor, 2 against, and 2 abstentions. All right, on to number 11, RS 2023-18 by Porterfield and Evans accepts a community-based traffic safety enforcement and education grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to continue the enhanced DUI enforcement initiative and target distracted driving and seatbelt enforcement. Can I have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Prepty.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This question would most aptly be directed towards Chief Gilder. Are there any policies in place with MNPD with regards to pretextual stops?
Specific to pretextual stops, I don't know that the policy manual, which is about 1,300 pages, specifically covers pretextual stops. There is a general provision about following the law. Obviously, constitutional legal principles change from time to time, so rather than reciting all of those, there's a provision in there about following the law, so officers are required to follow those constitutional principles.
Mr. Prepty.
Nothing else. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Kimbrough.
Thank you. I just wanted to voice some concerns of some of my constituents and others in the community. I need to stand. Community in general. I'm concerned about some of the language in this provision, specifically the enhanced enforcement and targeting the target of distracted which is somewhat an ambiguous term, driving. Ultimately, I, as some of my constituents, believe that this may lead to pretextual stops. To, I guess, support that basis or that premise is the fact when you actually go into the, I think is the exhibit portion of this, you see that Metro Police have to make reports to another agency, and based on my understanding, is in support of, in order to continue getting the grant money, which is another way of pretty much saying quotas. When you start having to make reports to keep money, that's what it is. When you talk about police and quotas, it automatically leads to pretextual stops. They also require the Metro Police, prior to making any statements about, I guess, any incident that may come up, they have to clear it with another agency first before they can even speak on it. And I'm especially concerned now that we don't even have a community oversight board anymore. So it's kind of leading to where it appears that this indeed will lead to pretextual stops. It will involve a quota system and a reporting to another agency other than Metro Police. Not saying they won't report to Metro Police as well, but definitely another agency. And I just have concern because usually when you have these pretextual stops, it targets a certain community, and usually that's a very vulnerable community. So I did just want to speak on that and say that. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the this committee.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any additional discussion?
Oh, one more thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
And if my memory serves me correctly, our district attorney's office itself rejected a DUI grant from another agency because they too, I'm sure, have some of these same concerns. And they are our lead, I guess, law enforcement agency. They prosecute every case. So that, for that reason as well, I had concern about this particular item.
Thank you, Councilmember Kimbrough. Councilmember Nash?
This is a grant from the state that we've been receiving for many years. And I think this department has changed its procedures for stops. We're not chasing as many cars down as we used to. Well, Surpass was here, Chief Surpass, it was try and introduce yourself to as many people as you could, led to pretextual stops. That whole philosophy has changed since the Driving While Black and the American University reports came out. The chief has not done that. As far as reporting to the state, yeah, nobody's going to give you money without having some sort of report back. All right, how many arrests did you make, whatnot. But that is not going to lead our officers to do any pretextual stops. There's no need for that.
Any additional discussion? Councilmember Kimbrough, you have discussion?
First, I'm not sure, but my fellow Councilman Nash, are you a
Councilmember
former-
Kimbrough?
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask him, was he a former police officer?
So during committee or council member, we want to make sure we direct all questions to the
okay.
vice mayor or to
All
the
right.
committee
Okay.
chair at the time.
I just wanted
The
to know,
presider.
but based on what he said, I just was trying to figure his previous profession.
Understand.
And that's, okay,
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Councilmember Nash?
Yes, ma'am. I spent 33 years in the Metropolitan Police Department, worked in sex crimes, patrol, planning, and retired as commander of the East Precinct.
That's what I figured.
Outstanding. Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none. So we're on RS 2023-18. All in favor? Let's do the hands again on this one. All in favor? All right, thank you. All opposed? And any abstentions? All right. I see. So we have 8 in favor, 2 against, and 3 abstentions. Motion carries. On to the next item in our calendar, RS 2023 by Porterfield, Evans, and Allen approves an application for a hotspot violent crime intervention fund targeted community crime reduction project grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to utilize funding for the formation of the PAL program to help build strong community relations and facilitate early intervention in the lives of at-risk youth, and to purchase equipment and increase staffing to better prepare officers to respond to violent crime incidents. Can I have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. I'll open the floor for discussion. Councilmember Kimbrough?
Yes, now I realize I need to talk to you, Vice Chair. Vice Chair, I don't want to say an issue, but I had a concern. One was with the PAL, and I know it's the Police Athletic League. I was concerned about the way it's operated. I'm not sure, but I do recall a time when non-sworn people were able to, I guess, supervise that training and interact with the kids and all, and it led to a man being arrested here in Nashville with the Metro, in conjunction as he was working for Metro Nashville Police, the PAL agency or the PAL program. He was arrested for some type of child sexual assault. I don't remember what the specific crime was, but for one, I'm concerned about how this is set up and who will be supervising, how much non-sworn activity and interaction there will be. I'm concerned about that. I don't know the correct place to address that, but I do know any child that may potentially be in danger is one child too many. So I just wanted to know, I don't know where we get assurances or whatever that's concerned, but I do know that incident did occur in Nashville, Davidson County, under the PAL program. My other issue is regarding, they just threw in there under PAL, purchases of equipment to increase staff and better prepare officers to respond to violent crime incidents. As I read the exhibit, I noticed that they are specifically, they say we're targeting area, zip code 37207. And that's a concern of mine. It would be a concern of mine anyway. But now that's part of my community, part of my district is 37207. And when you start talking about targeting certain communities, I'm concerned. It went further to say they had no statistics from the FBI to back up that concern. However, they had their own statistical data. And I would like to ask about that. Like, what exactly are you calling or are you categorizing as these crimes? I don't know what they would entail, but I do have concern about them targeting 37207. There were some other zip codes in there I'm not very familiar with, and I think they're also mentioned in another city, so it may also be from another place, but I know 37207 is here, and I know that's part of my district, and I am concerned about targeting certain communities, especially when those communities are already vulnerable communities. And perhaps unlike the initial item that we first addressed that had to do with Metro government in general, this is not Metro government in general when we're talking about the purchase of equipment. They're talking about more police equipment. They're talking about targeting certain communities. And I mean, they're saying it verbatim. I'm not misquote, that's a quote. And I'm just very concerned about that. And I just wanted to bring that to the attention of this body and to this vice chair. So the PAL issue, based on what's happened in the past, as well as the targeting of certain zip codes, we don't want to run down that rabbit trail again.
Thank you. Councilmember Kimbrough, did you want some of your questions answered
Oh,
by Metro Police Department?
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Gilder?
Thank you. So PAL is, like you noticed, the Police Activities League is actually what is referred to now. That is an organization that it's something near and dear to Chief Drake's heart. He was involved in the Police Athletic League many years ago. He still has people that reach out to him and thank him for his involvement in that. Talking about how the difference that made in their lives. And so it was something that he wanted to reinstitute here in our department now. So the Police Activities League is a section within our department. There is also a nonprofit organization that is the Police Activities League, and those are folks outside of the department. But all those that are involved here in our side of the house are sworn law enforcement officers, and that's an effort to build bonds with kids, through common activities like boxing and other athletic programs, basketball and things like that. So that's hopefully I addressed your question. If you want more information about the Police Activities League, I'm happy to ask the commander who oversees that to get in touch with you. I'm sure he's more than happy to discuss specifics if you got more questions about that. Your other question about the zip codes and the grant. So this is a grant that is the state of Tennessee announced, and what they did when they say target, I think what they mean is identified. They identified 10 of the highest crime zip codes in the state of Tennessee. It's my understanding that those are based on Part 1 violent crimes, which are your murders, rapes, robberies. 9 of those zip codes are in Memphis. One of those zip codes is here, and it is 37207. And so what they have done is they've allocated money. It's a 4-year grant to hire a grant coordinator, and that's what this part of the grant. So we have to pull this grant down in disbursements. So you'll see this grant again. This disbursement is to hire our grant coordinator, which is actually going to be we'll utilize someone from our OCOP office, our Office of Community Outreach and Partnerships. We're going to use the lieutenant there, and the next step in that is for that grant coordinator to work with the state on identifying a research partner from a local university. And then they are to use data-driven planning to identify community partnerships that we can engage in and address systemic problems in these areas. So it's a multi-part grant. It's supposed to be involving prevention, enforcement, and intervention. All of those things. But I don't know exactly how that's going to look like because that's a process that we'll develop, like I said, with our research partner.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Gilder. Councilmember Kimbrough.
All right, so I just want to reiterate, I believe the deputy chief is saying he doesn't know what it's going to look like. He acknowledges that the word target in 37207 is in there. That's the only zip code in Nashville, which is partially part of my district. I do have that same concern. Unless we know more, unless we can get more details, I don't want to keep making vulnerable people more vulnerable. I don't want to do that. So I am concerned about that. I'm still not clear on that, pal. I know he's saying, and I never doubted, as to the sworn personnel, I don't think there shouldn't be any incidents with any type of sexual impropriety. But I am concerned because it has happened before, and he did acknowledge that there is a part that involves non-sworn personnel. At least that's what I thought I heard him say, and that's my concern.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any additional discussion? Councilmember Nash.
Yeah, that incident with the civilian occurred probably 25 years ago. I was in sex abuse at the time. I've been retired 11 years, 5 years in planning, 5 years in sex abuse, so it's been a while. That said, I believe also now, because of some of the problems that a lot of nonprofits had with sex abuse of younger people, that the state now requires any group that's having interaction with children, those people that are employed by them have to go through background checks. So hopefully, a lot of that will be stopped.
All right. Any additional discussion, Councilmember Kimbrough?
I do just want to say that if you're a sex offender, it's pretty hard to stop them. We do have repeat sex offenders, and I understand them putting, certain things in place to try to prevent it. But I just think it deserves more question, more responses when we know, and fellow councilman himself has said, indeed, it has happened. I don't know how many years ago. I just know it was something I would never forget. And I think they suspended the program after that. But I don't know what they put in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. But like I said, one vulnerable child is one child, or non-vulnerable. One child sexually abused under something that comes under the police department is one child too many.
Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair, and thank you to both of our colleagues for providing additional insight. Chair, would it be appropriate to, I'm directing the question to you, and in an effort to assist some of our newer friends here, if there are some additional questions that our colleagues would like to have answered, a motion for a deferral would be appropriate to allow for for an opportunity to get some of those questions answered. So I just wanted to lift that up in the event that one of our colleagues wanted to request for a deferral to get more information on this before moving forward with it.
Thank you, Councilman Porterfield. So I'm not hearing a request for deferral, am I correct?
I'm not requesting a deferral, but I did want to make sure that our colleagues knew that there was an option in the event that they wanted to move forward with one.
Thank you for helping with education. Councilmember Kimbrough, do you
I'd like to make that motion for a deferral.
like to move for a deferral? All right. So the motion for deferral has been moved. How many meetings? The standard is one meeting you can do.
The standard,
Okay. So motion for one meeting has been made on the floor. Do we have a motion? All right, we have a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Nash.
I just want to make sure that the deferral won't jeopardize the grant application.
Come on. Unfortunately, I don't know the exact timeline. I know we are on a timeline again because this is the first part of that process. And I know we were trying to get this grant on this agenda. So I am worried that it might implicate a timeline issue with the state. But I don't have that exact date in front of me.
I guess as an alternative, I would speak against the deferral motion, but certainly encourage my colleague to send any questions they might have to Chief Gilder. He can get them answered. This grant, I think you said, was going to come before us again down the road.
That's correct. This is the first, it's a couple $100,000 of basically a $4.5 million grant. And so you are going to see this in pieces as we come back to pull down. So this is the part that is going to authorize the hiring of the grant coordinator. And that is all this part of the grant does.
Councilmember Weiner.
I'm going to offer another suggestion. Would it be appropriate to ask that Metro Police come here and have a presentation to us about the scope of this particular grant request, because it's going to be in stages, so that we understand exactly what we're looking at? We go ahead and we approve this today, and then we schedule an opportunity for us to look at the entire picture so that we don't impact the timeline for this, because we have kids that are going to benefit from this particular program. And I personally don't want to see the opportunity to engage and enhance the relationships that are going to be afforded from this particular program. Thank you.
Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm going to rise in support of the deferral. I love Councilmember Wiener's suggestion, so I'm going to give an alternate suggestion that we support our colleagues since this does have a direct impact on her district, and this is a zip code that's within her district. So I would ask our colleagues to stand with our colleague here so that she can get her questions answered, and I would recommend that our colleague, Councilmember Kimbrough, submits any of those questions to MNPD in writing so that she can get those answered before our next meeting. And if MNPD could also come and do a presentation with us so that the body can have the information that we need going forward. So I'm going to support Councilmember Kimbrough's deferral, and I'm going to ask our colleagues to do the same. And I also want to thank Councilmember Wiener for that excellent suggestion.
All right, so the motion on the floor is a deferral for one meeting. Any additional discussion in regards to the deferral? Seeing no discussion, I would like to take a vote. We'll do it by hand again. All in favor, please, of the deferral. All in favor, please raise your hand of the deferral. All right. Any against the deferral? Please raise your hand. Anyone not voting? Any abstentions? The deferral motion carries 7 in favor, 4 against. All right, so that concludes the agenda for this meeting. However, we have a few other pieces of items to discuss. Commander Gilder, or sorry, you got a new job. Deputy Chief Gilder, before you go, and there's a few frequent flyers that will be in this meeting. And what we'd like to do, Mr. Tom Sharp as well, Mr. Ron Johnson, Ms. April Calvin. I saw Chief Swan here earlier, but a representative from Nashville Fire Department. Okay, thank you. He's gone. Deputy Chief Gilder, I'm going to ask actually you to do some specific questions, but everyone else, I'm going to ask you just to kind of come to the microphone and quickly just introduce yourself, tell you who you are. So when we do have questions or different things that arise out of this committee, council members know who to contact in the area of their said situation or discussion that they need to have. Deputy Chief Gilder, I have specific question for you after you introduce yourself. I also want you to give us a quick update on the stolen ambulances and maybe answer any questions for members while we're here.
Sure. So my name is Chris Gilder. I'm a deputy chief over the Executive Services Bureau of the Police Department. That's the bureau that houses crime analysis, accreditation, policy and planning, and then some other odds and ends. Those are our main responsibilities. One of my jobs is to liaison with council, so you'll be seeing me up here a lot, or Captain Kelly Cantrell will be coming up here with me some as well. Obviously, I know some of you I don't. I'm going to try and get around and meet everybody as I can. But yeah, anything that you have that comes up that is police related, if it's an item specific to your council district, and you've probably already met your precinct commanders, that's a good place to start, or your community coordinator, that's a good place to start. If it's a general legislative issue, or you just want to get a hold of somebody, I'll make sure you have my cell phone number, and you can reach out anytime, day or night, if you're having any issues. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. And ambulances, stolen ambulances.
I'm
yes.
sorry. So we did have two incidents where NFD ambulances were stolen. They did not appear related. Unfortunately, I left my note back there on where the first one occurred. It was at a hospital. Was it Skyline? Summit, I'm sorry. Summit Hospital at the ER. Our investigation shows that the vehicle was running unlocked. A patient at that facility got in the ambulance and fled. One of our officers that was working in the ER was notified about it. They were provided the patient information that they believe was involved. He had a Mount Juliet address, so we started coordinating with Mount Juliet and the THP. to get a response. We had about 10 of our officers involved. Aviation was up looking for the vehicle. Mount Juliet ended up locating it. They engaged in a police pursuit. The pursuit came back into Davidson County. Our unit set up spike strips. Those are basically little hollow spikes that when you run over them will deflate the tires. And the ambulance was ultimately brought to a stop. The subject in that got out and ran, and there was a short foot pursuit, but he was taken into custody. The second incident, again, unrelated. It's just odd that we had two in a close time frame. There was a medical call. I'm not sure what the underlying incident was, but there was an ambulance on scene. Officers ended up being called to the location because of a possible domestic disturbance. And while the officers were headed back to their car, they got flagged down, notified by NFD personnel that these suspect had jumped into the ambulance, which again, I think was running and we believe was unlocked, and started to move the ambulance, and it rolled into a fire truck apparatus that was on scene. Then that subject ended up jumping out of the ambulance, ran, and after a short foot pursuit was taken into custody as well.
Councilmember Porterfield and then Councilmember Huffman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Commander Gilder, Deputy Chief Gilder. I mess it up every time,
It's
Deputy
okay.
Chief. My apologies.
It's okay.
Do we have anyone here from the fire department that can address? Thank you so much. If you could address what measures have been taken so that we can ensure that this does not happen going forward.
Hi, sure. Yes, ma'am. My name is Fred Smith. I'm Deputy Director of EMS Operations. Thank you, Chairperson and council members, for listening. We obviously have been talking about this all week, right? This is something that doesn't happen and has happened twice in one day within an hour probably of each other. So we've reached out to other services across our region, and there are some pretty neat little devices that we can put on our ambulances that we're investigating now that will prevent somebody, unless they just have specific knowledge of the device, to be able to engage the vehicle into drive and move it. So we're investigating and looking at those options right now.
Councilman Porterfield, you still on?
Thank you so much. Do y'all lock the doors?
Well, we do now.
Okay. I mean, because that may help prior to buying, more equipment. Like
Right.
if we just lock the door.
The problem is we have to keep our ambulances running, as opposed to many other counties where the travel distance is much greater. If we transport a patient 3 minutes down the road and then shut our ambulances off, and then 15, 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, start them back up and do another 5 or 10 minutes, the amount of electronics and everything that we've got just supporting our system, our batteries won't sustain a very long life at all. As a matter of fact, we did that Saturday. We said, shut them down every time. Take the keys with you. A couple of our ambulances almost didn't start, so we had to rethink our plan. We do have a measure in place now where we can physically lock all of our ambulances, and we've assessed all of our fleet. So that's a real thing. Where now we get anywhere on the scene of a patient's call or in the hospital's parking lot, we lock the ambulance.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Councilmember Porterfield had the same question I had. So question answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans,
I'm good now.
you had the same question?
Councilwoman, yeah, Porterfield
All right.
got me.
So we need to lock the doors, right? Or find a way to get it locked. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Any other questions in regards to the stolen ambulance? All right, perfect. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage, I want to recognize Sergeant Dorr. He's here to talk about an event on Saturday.
Good evening. I appreciate you having me here. Councilmember Evans, thank you so much for having me. This Saturday is going to be our annual Meet Us at the Bridge event. We do this yearly with, our Victim Intervention Program, the DA's office, the Nashville Coalition Against Domestic Violence in our division. And it's a great opportunity for us all to come together. We remember all the victims that were killed by domestic violence. Generally from October to October, I believe there's going to be 10 to 12 this year, if I remember correctly. I don't have the exact numbers because it's October to October. But we'll have a ceremony for them. Family members are encouraged to come. They'll throw roses over the bridge in remembrance of that family member. And it's a great time to remember them, but also support the family members and the loved ones that are still mourning this. And we invite everyone to come back year after year and help us support. It's a great event. It's our big event every year. We look forward to doing it. And it's this Saturday at 9 a.m. on the pedestrian bridge downtown here.
Thank you, Sergeant Dorr. Councilmember Evans, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Sergeant Dorr, for being here. I really, really appreciate it. This is an excellent event. I would encourage, if you have the capacity to go on Saturday, it would be really great to have some support from our committee for this event. And I happened to spend some time in domestic violence court a week or so ago, and I would love to talk to you further about potentially you coming back, because I learned some things and I'm really interested in kind of connecting what I saw in court to, you know, what you all do. And so as Councilmember Weiner was talking about, like, special content that we bring to this committee, you know, I think that would be really an excellent thing to have as a focus for one of our committee meetings. So just wanted to put that bug in your ear for the future when I come back to you.
Yes, thank you. And we do outreach out of our division, the Domestic Violence Division, part of our Investigative Services Bureau, and I do most of our outreach. So we do a lot of community presentations as well. So any community meetings in your districts that you'd like us to have us at Sergeant Jason Dorr, so jason.dorr@nashville.gov. I'd be happy to come out and speak in your districts. And later on, if you get something, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Sergeant Dorr. Councilmember Evans, can you have this information distributed to the committee via email? Thank you. All right, so really quickly, we're way past time, but I do want to take this moment. Just again, there's some individuals that will be here in this committee fairly often, and I just want you all just kind of know their faces and know their email addresses and who they are. Ms. Calvin, if you could briefly introduce yourself and share with us your department.
Hello, my name is April Calvin. I'm the new director of the Office of Homeless Services, and we provide support and coordination and networking and collaboration on all things homelessness here in Nashville. And with me, I have Mr. Bill Clendenning. He will be here with me often or sometimes in my place.
Thank you, Ms. Calvin. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Ron Johnson. I am the Director of Safety in Mayor O'Connor's office. I'm a carryover from Mayor Cooper's office. Also, I'm here with my colleague, Brother Eric Capehart, who joined us a few months ago, and also with Mike Lacey. And we were fortunate a week or so ago to receive a grant that we had applied for, a federal grant, and we're very excited about implementing that, along with some of the other work that we've been doing with the village, with GVI, and hopefully soon with Cure Violence, because we need all of it.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And Mr. Sharp?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. My name is Tom Sharp. I'm the Policy Director at the Metro Public Health Department. I've been there for a little while now, and those of you, your colleagues who worked with me before, will tell you that you can pretty much always find me. I more than likely will not know the answer, but I've been there long enough to know who does. I'll make sure you get it. I'd like to introduce my colleague. This is Kabira Leach. She will be here with me also a lot, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. I want to pass the floor to our chair, Councilmember Aaron Evans, to close us out.
Thank you. I really appreciate you stepping in. Thank you very much. Just wanted to make a comment. First of all, if you took a look at the list that was sent out by Director Darby of everything that falls within our committee's purview, it's a very extensive list of departments. And one of the things I wanted to mention that's a carryover from last term is April Calvin. We had a subcommittee, oversight committee related to ARP funding, and that will carry forward where she will come in the second meeting of every month and give us an update, or one of her colleagues will come in and give us an update related to ARP funding. And so we will see her at our next meeting. So just wanted to update everybody about that. And then as far as this list is concerned, I think one of the things that would be helpful, and I'll put this as a takeaway for me, is to go back and with all these different departments, list all of our council liaisons and their contact information, and have Director Darby redistribute it. So that way it'll go out to everybody related to that. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that I'll individually talk to you hopefully tonight, or when we have a little bit of time during the meeting today, to be able to find out a little bit more about what your interests are related to this committee and what you want to learn, achieve, et cetera. If you don't really have a firm grasp of what that is, it's okay. We can figure it out along the way, but just wanted to get your insight because I have a very specific idea after having previously chaired this committee about things I know we need to look at, but I'm also interested in getting all of your feedback as well so we make sure it's a good year experience for all of us. And thank you.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.